Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, sabah al khair. A wonderful good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have Tapan on stage with me to discuss the emergence of franchise agreements in the Saudi market.
Thank you, Judith. Delighted to be here. Good morning, everyone.
Shall I come closer?
Oh, you want to sit?
All right, excellent. Thank you. So what factors are currently contributing in terms of the emergence of franchise agreements in Saudi Arabia?
Firstly, it is kudos to the leadership of the country, for creating the macro environment that's actually led to the prosperous tourism sector. It's very exciting to be present here. Third-party management is not new to the world of hospitality. Across various brands, the top 5 to 7 global hotel companies, about 70 to 80% of their key portfolio, is actually franchise. However, it takes a little while in newer markets and developing markets for franchise business to step in, because the brands come in, they establish themselves, and then they roll out the franchise. However, because everything is happening in Saudi Arabia quicker, faster, sooner, we've already seen the emergence of franchise agreements coming into the market. We've seen the willingness of the brand to franchise with the right operator and the expertise and skills. So, very exciting phase for the franchise world in this part of the world.
And what are the current challenges in terms of entering as a third-party operator in Saudi Arabia, and what do you have to bear in mind if you want to enter as a third-party operator the kingdom?
So, firstly, I would, the audience has some very experienced people who understand independent hotel management companies and their business really well. However, for some of the audiences who may be new to the concept, an independent hotel management company provides you the same services and skills that a traditional management company would provide you, with the exception of that we do not have a brand of our own we put on the building. So either we help you build capabilities in-house as a developer, as an investor, to build your own brand over a period of time, and that fast-tracks the development process rather than going through the experimental phase of setting up your own brand, because we come with experience and expertise. Or you could franchise with a global brand and then hire a third-party operator, also an independent hotel management company or a white label operator, to operate that franchise for you. To come to your question, the challenges for anyone entering this market is to understand the landscape. I have to admit that I've lived in the region for 13 years. And when I first started coming to Saudi after the Vision 2030 was announced, and we started getting exposed to all the beautiful locales, locations, tier 2, tier 3 cities that Saudi Arabia has, and the cultural, the landscape diversity that it entails, we were very pleasantly surprised. So I think traveling across Saudi Arabia is very important for anyone who's wanting to enter this market. It is one thing reading reports, it's one thing seeing pictures. Yes, pictures do speak 1,000 words, but you got to travel yourself across the landscape and understand what the country has to offer. You would be able to relate to the owners a lot more. Ministry of Tourism is doing a lot on the classification side, so understanding regulatory environment is important. But I think what's also important is to understand, like I said, the lay of the land, the cultural landscape, the ability and the skill set of people, and how we're going to develop it to service the clients that we are going to get. So how do you hire local people to service the local people, and how do you train them to offer the quality of the service that some of the very savvy travelers, both within Saudi Arabia and international travelers, have gotten used to? I think that's a challenge we all have, and bring it on. We're willing to take it on and educate the young Saudi population wanting to get into tourism.
You mentioned that globally 70% of agreements are with a third-party operator. Why is it still dominant here to have management agreements, and how as an investor do I decide to go with a management agreement or with a third-party operator? And then how are the fees structured? Will I pay double the fees?
The big fee question. It's usually the first question in every discussion, so Judith, I'm grateful that this is only the third one. today, but very valid. Look, there is no right or wrong solution. Everything is a right option. Whether you go with a hotel management company that gives you the brand as an owner investor and they operate the hotel for you, it will still be right in certain circumstances for your asset and for the right returns. In certain other cases, it makes a lot more sense for you to either build your own in-house capabilities and as an owner-operator, or like I said previously, you hire a capable, I'm not saying us, hire a capable white label service provider to help build you those capabilities in-house for a certain period of time till you're ready to run yourself and run your own company with your own brand and you've got the scale. Or you can actually franchise, like I said. But for that, you need help. You need assistance. If you're a first-time developer, if you're a first-time investor, you got to work with consultants very closely to understand how this landscape works. It's an education process. And in that education process, we actually share case studies of success having been achieved in transitioning either from a managed to a franchise model or starting up with a management model with a third-party independent operator like us. Black Coral Consulting, Colliers, Sterling, I see Peter is in the room for TRI Consulting. These are all consulting firms that'll give you great advice. But what a white label operator can also bring in that discussion around the table is actual numbers, data, figures. Catherine from Hotstats is here. Use the MIS. MIS is your biggest tool. We use it, even as an operator. When we're pitching to a client, doing feasibility, we look at the market dynamics and the performance, and then, we come back to you with a proposal. In many cases, we, Judith, actually walk away from a deal and make different recommendation to an owner because we believe that is the right thing for the owner to do in the long term for their own ROI on investment. And, we do not hesitate in giving that advice because it's a 15-year or a 10-year relationship, it's a marriage. And we want to make sure that we set ourselves and you're up for success rather than the other way. The fee question, I think a lot of consultants initially, when they're trying to understand the white label space and even owners and investors and their advisors, tend to ask this question. But I think this question needs to be framed slightly differently. It's not about the top line fees and the percentages that you're paying. It's about the GOPs and EBITDA, because that is eventually what determines the sort of returns you will get on your asset. And we can actually show you proof, if you were to have a conversation with us, and I'm sure our peers in the industry from this particular segment of industry would be able to do the same. Because we've got 13, 14 years of operating experience, the GOP numbers actually have gone up in assets that we've taken over from either brand managed or we've managed versus another operator operating it probably by 8 to 10 basis points and translating to about 6 to 7 basis points on EBITDA, despite the question of the fee being double or additional on the top line. So we can actually prove with concepts, with real life examples on how your GOPs and EBITDAs can be really beneficial in the slightly alternative model of management.
So just on that, then, as an investor, owner, real estate company, not familiar with the hospitality market, how do I decide what's the right approach for me? Management agreement, third-party operator, and where are the benefits of going with either? What does a third-party operator bring that a management company does not?
So what we bring is years of experience and expertise in driving the profitability up. We are also experienced enough to drive the brands, if it's a franchise hotel, on driving the brands to deliver the direct business. A lot of you in the audience sign up with brands because of their distribution power, because of the loyalty program, global sales offices, direct business, and brand recall, and hence safety, security, etc. associated with it. However, how do you get the most out of this brand affiliation? You may have a Hilton hotel, and you may have a Marriott hotel, and you may have an Intercon hotel in your brand portfolio. You will need a team to be able to understand all these three systems independently, differently for them to produce. Our capabilities and those of our genre, which is white label space, usually have multi-brand experience. We've got great capability in our team to actually help you drive revenues, and as a consequence of that profitability in your hotels, even when they are branded or if they are unbranded, create the right landscape for sales, marketing, distribution to ensure that you made a successful investment.
But the management companies, they also bring the commercial support, and they bring the team and the training. So what for me to make the decision, then what are the areas that I need to take a look at to decide to go with a third-party operator or a management company?
A lot of time we have to accept it comes down to personal dynamics between two individuals when you're doing a deal. We don't look at this as a deal. We look at this as a long-term relationship. We, as an operator, and I'm sure the others like us, are always there for you, 24 hours 7. And the whole leadership team works very closely with every single owner, gives them the attention that is required, because for every individual asset owner and developer, their investment and their asset is their baby, and that's the most precious thing that they've probably invested in all their life. And hence, they need the hand-holding, they need the care, they need the attention. And I think even my friends from the brands, no one is here, I think, but they would admit that we can probably drive more attention, more detail in every asset, rather than them trying to do for every owner across a country where they may have 100, 150 hotels. So I think personalized attention, personalized solution, and tackling challenges and pivoting. I think what Corona showed us, what COVID showed us, was that to pivot is the most important thing in our industry. Trends change. Assets once built find it very difficult to change. But how dynamic are you as a management company and as a platform to pivot at the right moment and target the right audience to get the right kind of business for your hotel, so that the investment that you have made gives you the necessary returns irrespective of what the environment is and the change in the global or the macro conditions are. So we don't have strenuous force majeure clauses in our agreements, because we believe that to pivot and get the right target market at that moment in the life cycle of the hotel is very important.
And just one last question. So how do you see the landscape in Saudi Arabia changing or slightly amending when it comes to franchise, third-party operators and management agreements? Will it be like the global 70%? And how long will it take? Or will it be more management agreement dominate with the entrance of third-party operators?
So I think multiple things are going to happen in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, having a crystal ball would be very beneficial. But at the pace at which Saudi Arabia is growing, I think over the next 2 years, we will see an extremely good mix, diversified service offering. So firstly, there are a lot of developers who are building a lot of hotels that are going to be locally branded or their own brand. I come from India, and we've seen over the history of 70 years that Taj Hotels, Oberoi Hotels, then Lemon Tree, ITC, etc. are brands that got established that you would cater to the local clientele, the 150 billion population. And that population relates to these brands because they are homegrown brands. So I have zero doubt that strong homegrown brands are going to emerge from Saudi Arabia. Now, one of the key aspects is how are you going to go on that journey with that brand building? Are you going to build it zero up? Are you going to take the time to build that team and capability? Or you bring an expert white label operator to help build those capabilities as you build a brand, and then give you a slower ramp-up period on your business? That's one. So owner-operator, so assets are going to be owned by developers, and they're going to have their own operating company. There is an opportunity to work with independent hotel management companies to build your capabilities. And then, obviously, there is always going to be room for the global brands, because the global brands actually put a lot of new destinations on international map. And I think that's a very key role that they play. If my dear friend Ellie is here, if he goes out into a conference and talks about Yanbu, Radisson Yanbu, the whole world says, okay, what is Yanbu and where is it? If that leads to 10 global search on Yanbu, that's a big addition. So we need the brands to put the name out there, especially in new destinations, introduce these new destinations to the global traveler, and then for the local, travelers within the country, within the landscape of Saudi Arabia, new brands will develop. And there will be enough space and room for all of us in this market.
Okay, great. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like by 2030. Thank you very much for joining me on stage, Tapan. Thank you very much to the audience for listening. Shukran, masalama.
Thank you very much.